The grave of an alien who was buried as a Christian. People leave him flowers and souvenirs, but authorities have doubts about him. Early in the morning of April 17, 1897, 50 years before the alleged Roswell incident and 6 years before the Wright brothers' first flight, something strange happened in a small town of Aurora, about 30 miles northwest of Fort Worth, Texas. A supposed alien spaceship had crashed and its pilot had been killed. He was then given a Christian burial. People who believed in extraterrestrials visit his grave every day, even today. They leave him flowers as well as various souvenirs. However, the authorities dispute the fact to this day. It all seems to have started with some accounts in an article in the Dallas Morning News, April 19, 1897 edition. According to all of them, a cigar-shaped flying object was seen falling from the sky when it crashed into a windmill and exploded. They said it was like an airship, but it was not of this world. The pilot of the ship was thought to be a Martian because at that time the theory of the Italian astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli about Martian irrigation canals on the Red Planet was already widespread. It was not difficult to put together and guess that this ship was from Mars, and therefore its pilot was an extraterrestrial from Mars, a Martian. Much was written at the time about the alleged incident. The papers found on him, apparently the record of his travels, are written in some unknown hieroglyphics and cannot be deciphered. The craft crashed too badly to draw any conclusions as to its construction or propulsion. It was made of an unknown metal, which looks somewhat like a mixture of aluminum and silver, and must have weighed several tons. The town is full of people today who view the wreckage and collect samples of the strange metal from it. The pilot's funeral would take place at noon, the article said. Local residents named the alleged alien Ned and reportedly decided to bury him with Christian rites at the nearby Aurora Cemetery. Over the years, Ned's story became more and more well known, as curiosity is a major factor of the spread of such news, especially when it involved an alien pilot who is said to be buried in the town cemetery, and everyone wants to see him. Many investigators have looked into the story for years, testing water from the well where the debris is said to have been stored, pulling metal wedges from trees at the crash site as evidence that something exploded. In the 1970s, they even tried to exhume the remains to see if anyone was actually buried in Ned's grave. However, according to the laws they have there, and the grave was Christian, no exhumation takes place unless approved by the next of kin. And because Ned was supposed to be an alien, there was no relative who would allow his exhumation. Eventually, the Cemetery Association is said to have obtained a court order in 1972 to prevent the remains from being exhumed. At Aurora Cemetery, there is a state historic marker out front that notes this location is also known because of the legend that a spaceship crashed nearby in 1897, and the pilot who was killed in the crash is buried here. A little further on, there is a boulder marking the legend about Ned's grave. Many visitors come and leave various souvenirs, flowers, coins, a glass sleigh, and much more. There were places where aliens are buried. Are there places aliens are buried? Now, where was there an alien pilot and craft? After all, is there an alien buried in the cemetery? No, say wise county historians who have researched the matter. Apparently, the columnist S.E. Hayden, who first described the story in the newspaper, was someone who played a prank and was believed. So they believed his prank. Perhaps the same newspaper writes April 2018, it was an attempt by the prankster to draw attention to the city that time had forgotten and had been hit hard by an epidemic, just like the editor's family. Several people who lived in Aurora in 1897 later told historians that there was no crash. There may not even have been a windmill. As for the unknown metal that excited UFO enthusiasts, It was found to be an alloy used in the 1920s for pots and their lids. Perhaps unfortunately the Dallas Morning News at the time was so interested in following up on that, if true, would be the biggest story in human history. Perhaps there is an alien buried, according to those who believe the crash and burial story. No, it does not exist. They categorically say. Anyway, the town of Wise County recently hosted a conference on UFOs. The story, real or not, brings people, and this, from a business point of view, is good for the trade and marketing of the small place. A sort of museum has been set up for Ned, as well as shops selling memorabilia and souvenirs, books about UFOs, and even candy with the shape or face of an alien. This is with information from the Dallas News, and I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.